I'd like to get a honest analysis of my physique, no holds barred, in terms of strengths, weaknesses, areas to improve.
Let's take a look. I won't be too harsh, but I'll be as harsh as necessary. All right, the shirt is off. That's obviously essential. All right, strong chest, traps popping out. Do you train neck?
No.
No. I think you have a good neck considering you don't train it. I would say you're a little bit biceps dominant compared to the triceps. I'm sort of the opposite. Good lighting. Pretty good forearm flexors as well, considering you don't isolate those either. Yeah. All right, the lats are coming out. All right, strong lats. Very good balance overall. I would say probably, oh, here the quads coming out. Decent balance between the quads and the hamstrings. Calves looking solid. Sometimes an area will look more impressive because it's lean, even if it's not as developed. Triceps, for example, you have a ton of detail in your triceps. So yeah, I would say you're probably like 8-9% body fat, realistically, yeah. In terms of weaknesses, maybe a little bit of mid-back thickness, like the erectors, and then, I mean, your lower traps and mid traps are good, but I would say your lats are still a stronger muscle group overall, probably just due to a lot of vertical pulling. Your teres major, which you can kind of see from the front here even, is a very, very strong muscle group. And just the amount of detail in the teres is ridiculous. You really don't see that very often at all.
With the lats, are you noticing anything in terms of upper, middle, lower, the proportions of that?
So we'll see here in a second as you pose. I would say it looks fairly proportional. It's one of those things where a lot of people point to not having lower lats as being genetic. Like, oh, I just have high lat insertions. And I used to sort of fall into that category. But no, I would say very good balance between lower and middle lats. And a lot of that is training, actually. A lot of that is getting a good range of motion and you know, choosing good exercises. Yeah, I would say the teres do dominate the back. Like, you can see them, just the chunks of meat just sticking out. And so it's one of those things where when you have a strong point, it just makes other things look weaker, right?
Weaknesses?
So erectors, and then maybe a little bit of mid-back thickness, like the rhomboids and sort of the between the scapula type of stuff.
So that's from maybe a lack of focus on horizontal rowing-based movements and volume.
Partly that, and then also probably when you do RDLs, they're very, very strict. So it's more of an isometric contraction for the back. And so maybe having like a Jefferson curl or something in there where it's a little bit more active in terms of the spinal flexion. This is one that you definitely want to ease into. Like we talked about failure and going hard. This is one where, you know, give yourself a few months to build up to it and to work into it. Maybe a good morning with like a little bit of rounding, or even better, I would say, would be a rack pull from right around the knees. It's a favorite of mine where if you look at a typical deadlift from the floor, the first part of the pull is quads and then just the hips driving down. And then the end is often the back, especially as you get close to failure. I like to start from right around the knees, and it kind of chops out the lower body involvement quite a bit. And so you can just focus on the back, on the shoulders moving. They're forward at the bottom position, and then they're back, and they're forward and they're back. And so you can kind of develop a rhythm. I would do them for higher reps, like 10, 12, 15, even 20.
The sound of that exercise is fantastic because it'll allow me to fit it on an upper body day.
Yes.
Because as we'll get to in a moment, a potential weakness is the lower body because I'm training them once per week.
Yeah. Well, I mean, for a calisthenics background, they're much better than average, I would say.
And that's all that matters, boys.
Yeah. They're not small, right? And so when you're trying to develop your physique, sometimes you're developing something out of having it look good, but sometimes you're developing something out of having it not look bad.
That is my main goal.
Yeah.
You said it in a way that I couldn't eloquently explain it.
Yeah, like, are you going towards something or are you kind of trying to go away?
And that's the consensus of most fitness gym bros are doing leg day for that reason.
Yeah, you don't want to be pencil legs. Yeah.
Because people will develop a nice upper body, and then the first thing someone will say in public is, yeah, but look at his legs. And it just completely just castrates you.
Chris Hemsworth got that, and he actually doesn't have bad legs, but sometimes you just get it from a certain angle that makes your leg look small.
Yeah.
And it's just...
You wear baggy shorts.
Exactly.
It's game over.
Yeah, it's. I think especially if you are lean, it can look from certain angles, like distance runner type of leg. Yeah.
And you commented on that the other day with the adductors, because I'm quite lean.
Yes.
I probably had more mass in that area when I was more bulked up.
For sure.
But because of being leaner, dieting, the body will look for ways to get rid of things.
You're in a more catabolic environment more of the time. And so your body is trying to optimize a little bit further. So your strong points that you're working frequently, or maybe are slightly better genetics, or you just have the background, you're gonna keep that preferentially. And so I actually train my neck more when I'm dieting, because I will lose it when I get to a certain point.
Interesting.
And it's more about like, I don't want to get a comment like small neck, blah, 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 right? But I don't care about having a massive neck either.
Yeah, it's a tough one. And it's probably the equivalent of carbs in terms of enjoyment of training.
Yeah.
No one's going, hey bro, what's your neck PR on the neck harness? And with the neck in particular, I have been called out for that when I get leaner. So I think I have quite a long neck. So there have been various people on the internet, it's not the most friendly place. I can't imagine in real life someone be like, hey Daniel, you look a bit like a giraffe. Well, thanks mate, that's really nice. Just try to help you, but no one's perfect.
Yeah, the internet can be a wild place. And I will get, like, if I shave, I'll get comments of like, did you start training your neck? No, I just I shaved, yeah. And I think having a little bit of mass in an area sometimes goes a long way.
It does. It's, especially with trap development, can make you look pretty awesome as a man too. Just
Oh yeah.
You remember when the Bane movie came out and he was just all traps? Everyone's, how do I get this muscle going?
FitnessFAQs has the ultimate calisthenics system. Build muscle, get stronger, and increase flexibility. Shop FitnessFAQs and unlock your full potential.
Yeah, and this is where I think people can develop whatever kind of physique they want. Like I talked about some strengths, some weaknesses, but realistically, it's kind of just whatever you want. As long as someone isn't competing super seriously, they can kind of go for the look they want. Like my arms, I probably don't need to train them. Like if I was getting ready for a bodybuilding show, I would probably change my split to the point where there was not that much arm isolation.
That's a great point you've raised, because we tend to get in the trap of just keeping our routine very similar. The trap. The trap. That can make it difficult for us to improve our problem areas or the weak links in our physique. So if I was to make adaptations to my routine with the sole goal of building a more aesthetic physique, the few changes I would make, I would remove a little bit of the pushing volume, because you've highlighted
a strong chest.
The chest is good.
And delts.
Delts are, look at this, bit of feathers there. Triceps okay too. Maybe cut down a little bit on the vertical and diagonal pull volume. For lats aren't as important. Put that into horizontal pulling as well as the rack pull. And add in I'm scared to say it, a second leg day. Areas that are missing, maybe a bit more adductor work directly, as you've said. Don't do leg extensions. There's some missing rec fem there. I don't do any real work for the glutes.
That would be, especially when you get lean. Leanness actually makes some areas look significantly bigger, but it also can take away from some other areas. So for you, the delts, when you're lean, they'll look much bigger than if you were slightly heavier. So they are still a strong point, but they might not muscularly be as much of a strong point as you would think if you just saw you when you're lean, right? Because a lot of that impressiveness is the leanness, right? The glutes are kind of the opposite. They might look a little underwhelming when you're cut down, but if you gained 5 kilos, they would fill out that area. That's one thing I noticed when I got shredded. I thought I had like S tier glutes, Turns out a lot of that was not actually muscle.
Bit of adipose tissue there.
Yeah, which I think is fine. Like it's an area that if you had to pick one place in the body to store body fat, not that bad, right? If you're a guy, if you're a girl, like both, like storing it back there, it's better than storing it on your face, on your chest, on your, like most people don't want to store fat anywhere, but if you had to pick a place, one of the better ones.
If I was to advance my physique, what would be your recommended bulking strategy given my existing body fat percentage, as well as weighing 84.5 kilos at 6 foot?
Yeah, so I would say a slow and steady bulk would be a good idea, especially as you did talk about how training was going a little bit better when you had a little bit more body fat on you, like 86, 87, something like that.
Yeah.
So that would be just based on your own experiences. I think that goes a long way, but also it's rare to see someone in your conditioning where everything is like going super, super well. You know, usually it's like I'm making progress, but it's slow. And that there's a little bit of a trade-off there, right? Because even 2 kilos of body fat, you can see it, right? Like if I put on 2 kilos of body fat, I'll look a little bit blurry, or like maybe the bicep vein doesn't come out as easily.
And that's the main gaining conundrum where we limit ourselves because we can see a drastic difference with 1.5, 2 kilos for sure.
You're lean enough where you could see a day-to-day change. I think you're leaner now than the first day. Like the second upper day we had and the second bro day compared to the first and second, visually you looked leaner. Yeah. And that doesn't happen if you're 16% body fat. It's only really when you're 10-ish% and below.
Okay, well, got a few things to work on there. Maybe sitting at a higher body fat percentage for some time would make training more productive and allow me to more extent and rate of progress in terms of muscular development. But yeah, appreciate the honest look at my physique. It's nice to have a world-class expert tell you your body fat percentage, because he's not doing those anymore. Only on special requests. Appreciate you, Jeff. Yeah. If people want to watch more stuff, there is plenty more videos of us talking training, working out. Enjoy.
Cool.